So I was planning to do a video this week on the brushless race cloud, but I didn't get a lot done. It's pretty much done other than some suspension, steering, tuning. I'll also have to build a body mount. Right now the body's just kind of sitting there, but that's easy. So hopefully next week we'll have that done. This week I was busy working on this thing right here. So when you're busy like I am, it's all about time management. And I've set aside about 3 hours a week for RCs. Doesn't have to be 3 hours at one time, just could be 20 minutes here and there, hour here and there, whatever. But anyway, so a friend of mine builds drag cars, nitro and electric. So he gave me this right here. It was like one chassis on top of another and some lines. And that's usually enough for me to work with because I've been doing RCs for so long, get a pretty good idea what they're going for. So he wanted me to make out of aluminum, so I made this chassis right here, which doesn't look like much, but to do that nice and accurately means I have to do a drawing, CAD drawing with all the holes and everything, put it into my mill, and what's called a G-code, which takes a little bit of time to set up, but once it's set up, the machine does the rest, just cuts it out perfectly, and then I had to do these cuts manually. Then when it's done, I put it in a bead blaster, give it a nice bead blast finish. So that's pretty cool. I'm pleased with the way that came out. I'm not going to really do any videos because I'm just building the chassis, some motor mounts, and then some differential mounts. So anyway, I figured since I'm at the shop, I'd give you a monster truck update. Check this thing out. Got the big tires on it. It looks mean like that. I'm so used to seeing it on the transport tires. Gave it a whole new attitude. I trimmed the wheel wells out. If you take a look at the front wheel well, and then the rear, I cut them out a lot smaller before, and I kept the square opening. So the modern Chevys had a squared off wheel well as opposed to like the older trucks from like the 60s and early 70s had a round wheel openings, sort of like this Ford. If you see, I cut those fenders, left them around. So I just thought on this, having them squared off like that would look a little bit better. I like the way it looks. I'm pleased. So I have someone coming to paint it, and all the graphics, vinyl are in the works. So normally I would just wrap something like this, but for the first body, when it makes its debut, I want it to look as good as possible. So I have it painted like a base coat, clear coat, metallic. It's a lot of money because it's going to get smashed up, but I wanted it to look really good when it makes its debut, so that was important to me, so that's why I'm doing that. Looks really mean from the front. Truck barely fits in here, too. This shop used to be a body shop, so the guy lowered the ceiling for some reason. So if you take a look, there's only about 8 inches of clearance between the roof of the truck and the ceiling, but I'll be knocking the ceiling out eventually, probably this summer. Just a little bit more room. Also plan on putting a bigger door right there so I can back it in and out with the big tires on. But yeah, that's it for now. Just figured to do a quick update on this thing. Still waiting on the parts for the drive shaft cages. Should call on that this week. I'm sure they're almost done. Then I just have to make the wheelie bar. This thing's good to go. One other thing I want to address. A lot of people ask me about this fuel cell and why there's not a guard around it. Sort of like if you take a look on this truck, I built this chassis, and right here, you can see a guard around the fuel cell right there. The reason this one doesn't have a guard, if you take a look, that fuel cell sits pretty far into the shock towers. By the time the wheelie bar's on right there, it'll hit the wheelie bar or the upper shock tower before that ever took a hit. And also, a fuel cell is a fuel cell because it's made to take a really hard hit without braking. So it should be fine. I don't see that being a problem at all. If you start adding a bunch of unnecessary tubing to a truck, it's just unnecessary weight that you don't need. So one of the things that makes the Concussion Motorsports parts awesome. So anyway, that's it for now. Just a quick little update. So take care. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next time. Bye.